Ladies and gentlemen, it's your man in Japan, Jay Contra, and I'm here at the new desk studio, and we're going deeper into the Jay Contra treasures. We're going to start out with some CD-based games before we get to the modern fare. Let me just move my box to the side. So here we've got the PC Engine treasures. Now, the PC Engine CD games aren't usually expensive, except for, of course, these guys. Now, what's, I think, important about this arcade card duo right here is that it's not really expensive in and of itself. I've actually found new copies of this at places like Super Potato going for like $100, and that's new. This is something I think it's normally like $50 when it's used. And what's really cool about it is that if you're using like a CD system, or even if you're using a Turbo Duo, you'll need this arcade card if you want to play one of the arcade games. I think the most significant one is probably Sapphire. You're going to need one of these because while you can play burned games on a PC Engine Duo, you're going to need this arcade card. Like, I don't even know if there are flash cards that replicate what the Duo does, but I'm sure someone will be able to correct me. So this can be a treasure, not necessarily because it's very expensive, but simply because it is very useful, in my opinion, and because there's just so many cool arcade games for the PC Engine CD. So we'll put the arcade card duo to the side. Then, of course, we have, I don't know if I'd say this is my favorite Castlevania. It's definitely up there. Like, I don't want to put Rondo of Blood down at all. It is a fantastic, phenomenal game, and because it was released only in Japan, and it is so good, and it is from a high-profile franchise, it is very expensive. The Rondo of Blood normally goes for, I want to say, like $200, even if it doesn't have its spine cover, and maybe if I get to one of these other CD games, I'll show you what I mean by that. But this can, yeah, I think I was lucky to find this for like $100 in Kitakyushu. But fantastic, phenomenal Castlevania. And actually, this is probably, well, aside from Bloodlines, what do they call it in Japanese? Vampire Killer. Vampire Killer is a $600 Sega Mega Drive game here in Japan. Now, that might be the most expensive Castlevania to play, or to buy. If you want to play Rondo of Blood, not only do you have to buy the expensive game itself for like $200, you also have to end up buying the, $200, even sometimes $500 PC Engine Duo, or even just putting together the CD system, like the old school CD system, can be a bit of a challenge. So we're moving on here to Summer Carnival 92 Alzadik, which is actually, I was actually kind of disappointed when I picked up Alzadik. I was expecting a longer shooter. I love Nagsat Soft. I loved Spriggan Powered. I was amazed by Summer Carnival 92 Rekka. This is actually the other half of Summer Carnival 92. So this is absolutely wild what they did with this. So Summer Carnival 92 was a competition that I don't know if they went around to different cities. I'm assuming they at least went to Tokyo. They had one game. Basically the idea is you would go play this shooter at the Summer Carnival and try and get the highest score. So what happened was, before that carnival, before that tournament, they released this game to the public. You would buy this game, practice, and then you would go and show off your skills at the tournament. And that is absolutely crazy. I don't even think they really even, I don't know how many times they've done this. I know there are some other summer carnivals, but this is just an absolutely crazy story. So the thing is you buy this, I think it's like $40 or $50 now. There's not a whole lot of game here. It's just like 1 or 2 courses, and you can do like a time trial, attack mode. I think there's a couple of different modes, but it's at most a 5-minute game max. So you just got to know that going in. It's really fun. The graphics are great. I don't regret buying it because I love Nagsat Soft, like I said, but man, don't expect a whole lot of game out of Alzadik. So that is all of the PC Engine games. Where can we move on? Let's move on to the N64. Let's do this a little bit chronologically. Actually, no, if we're going to do this chronologically, that means I'm going to have to pull out my Sega Saturn collection. Yeah, here we go. So here's some of the treasured Sega Saturn games. Dodonpachi is again a phenomenal shooter. I think most of the Saturn games that I own that are expensive are shooters, and of course some of the most expensive games for the system are shooters. I think I ended up picking this up at a hard off somewhere near Mount Fuji. And the B, I think because like Pachi is kind of, because Hachi is like, is Japanese for B. And so this is like Super Angry B. And also published by Atlas, which I thought was pretty wild. I didn't realize that when I first bought this. Phenomenal game, crazy story where you're like this like space pilot and you end up blowing up all of these guys, only you find out they weren't actually your enemy, they were your friends who were helping you train for the real enemy. So this is one of those shooters that you end up running through twice to get to the final ending. And yeah, I can't recommend Dodonpachi highly enough. It's a big series now. There were 2 for the Sega Saturn, a couple for the PlayStation, and a bunch ended up getting released for like the PlayStation 2 and and a bunch of re-releases for the Xbox 360. But can't recommend it highly enough. I think we'll save the best for last. Next up by Rising Aiding is Kingdom Grand Prix. I can't even remember what this was in English. I think the arcade version might have gotten an English release. I can't remember for the life of me. I actually haven't put a whole lot of time in this game because I actually don't like it that much. I'll get into that in a little bit, but here you can see I ended up buying this at Friends, which is a really small retro game shop in Tokyo. They don't let you film in there, so that's why I haven't shot any videos in there. But you can see here they've got a grading system. This was apparently not quite an A, but look, so this is the grade they gave for the box or for the case. And yeah, I guess there's a little bit of a scratch. You might not be able to see it on camera. There's a little bit of a crack in the case here, but it's a regular CD case. Like, it's actually quite easy to replace Sega Saturn CD cases if you've got a problem with yours. Let's look at the disc itself. The disc looks good. What did they give the disc? Yeah, the disc was an A. Okay, so they gave a B rating to the manual. Just looking at it, yeah, there's a little crease here from where it hits. This is something you got to really be careful of when you're collecting CD-based games, is when you pull out the manual, you have these lips here, like here and here. And those lips can really damage your manual if that's something you're worried about. So you got to be careful every time you take the manual out. Now this was rated as a B. I guess I can see a little bit of creasing here on the top. And I bought this from Friends just because they had really good deals on Sega Saturn games. I think I bought something else there, but I can't remember exactly. But Kingdom Grand Prix, it's a shooter that's sort of like, its gimmick is that you, as the name implies, you are like in a race, but you're also trying to blow up everything else. It's an okay game. Because of how much I loved Aiding's and Rising's other games, I was a bit disappointed in it, but it's still worth a pickup, I think. Next up, this is, while not in great condition because it's a Castlevania game, and because it is Symphony of the Night for the Sega Saturn. This is an incredibly rare, incredibly difficult to find game, and I was lucky to find it at the price that I did. And of course, it was priced so low, I think I ended up buying this for 50 bucks. Because look at the case. The case is really scratched up. Again, you can replace that. And it's all still going to be original parts anyways. It's just a CD case. The CD itself is fine, so I was lucky in that regard. I don't know what happened to this, I don't know what happened to this case, but you can see, I guess it must have been stuck in some humidity or something, because there's some ripple effects, some rippling in the paper of the back. Actually, hold on, I need to see, does other games have? No, see, this has the regular black. I think Dodonpachi has the regular black back to the CD part, but what they did for Dracula X, as it is in Japan, or Symphony of the Night, they've got this really cool paper insert in the back. And as you can see, the manual has definitely seen better days, but again, I'm not buying this for the manual, I'm buying it because Symphony of the Night, is it my favorite Castlevania? It might be. I had so much fun playing it. I actually ended up playing both the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn version. I bought this for like 50 bucks from a hard off. and I think it's normally like $140 now. It's really gone up in price. Because it's expanded, I'm having a hard time putting that back in the case. So that's Symphony of the Night, phenomenal game. And then we're getting to possibly my favorite shooter of all time. It's tough. It's really hard to decide between Battle Garegga and Summer Carnival 92 Rekka, because Battle Garegga is just, it's got everything. Like, it is that sort of World War II looking futuristic shooter that action is unparalleled. Love the music. I have not heard a better shooter OST in my freaking life, especially the piano versions that ended up getting released later. This is a great game. It's actually, this is a story of where sometimes it pays to wait, because when I bought this no spine cover in fair condition, but no spine cover. This ended up costing me about $200 when I bought it from Super Potato. And then for some reason, like 2 months later, the price just crashed. Like, it ended up being like, I think like $120 game for a while, because it ended up getting re-released on the PlayStation 3. Or no, PlayStation 4, and a digital-only title. So of course I did not, I did not buy Battle Garegga for the PS4. And as much as I love this game, just because I wanted a physical copy, and it is, I can't speak highly enough of Battle Garegga. So that is all of the Sega Saturn games. Still got some time, so let's move on. I guess I can throw in, yeah, let's go to the PlayStation, since that did come out before the N64. Here we've got the PlayStation version of Symphony of the Night. It's not really that expensive now. It's actually, I'd say, more expensive than the average PlayStation game, simply because it's, I think, about $50, because it's sought after, because it's so freaking good. It's also got a lot of stuff to it. I love the Japanese version. It is only, I think it's only a 1 CD game, or is this the OST? Okay, yeah, so here you've got the thick case, and that's because you've got 2 CDs inside. You've got the Dracula Music Collection, the soundtrack, on the right, and you've got the game disc on the left. And then you've also got, man, what is in here? Was this in the English version? I don't even, I've not actually played many, I've only ever played one Castlevania game in English. And so I don't really know what you can expect to find in the English versions. Ooh, that's in YouTube. I hope YouTube doesn't ban me for that. Whoa, there was like a comic? There's like a manga? Oh my god, I didn't even... I was just so excited to have the game. I didn't even read this. I just ended up playing the game itself. This is... oh man. Did they have this in English? Someone please leave me a comment. Tell me what was included in the North American release of Symphony of the Night. You gotta be kind of careful with this, just because these inserts are so freaking thick that it can sometimes be difficult to close this box. Also, something else you might want to be careful of when you're collecting Castlevania games is a lot of Castlevania games ended up getting best versions. So you can actually quite easily find Symphony of the Night's best version, and well, I mean, depending on your collecting habits, the best versions you might want that one simply because they're cheaper. But if you want the original version, make sure... See, I'm having such a hard time actually physically closing this, just because the inserts are so thick. And I don't want to damage the game. Alright, we'll deal with that later. It's another problem. Here is another really expensive game for the PlayStation. I can't believe games for the PlayStation are getting so expensive, but here's Moon Remix RPG Adventure. As you can see, I bought this from Trader, and I still have not unpeeled the sticker because I actually haven't played Moon yet. Now let's see, they rated the disc at B. Let's see, why would the disc be at B? Moon is this crazy RPG that kind of bends the rules of what it means to be an RPG. I don't think it's ever been translated into English, even fan translated, although I do believe someone on YouTube has played through the game and translated while playing. See, I'm trying to see why this would have been rated as a B. I can't see. Okay, so for some reason this was rated as a B, but just looking at there's no scratches on the disc surface. The top looks fine to me, so yeah, I don't know why they rated this a B. I think this ended up costing me $50. There's actually a weird, I guess, tip for when you're buying games in Tokyo, is I actually found, I think, 3 copies of this game at Trader. I think the one at the very front I think was like $70 or $80, and then I ended up just looking through the 3 different copies, and the very last one was like $50. And I couldn't tell you why. I don't know if the price had jumped or if because this is a B-rated game, it does not have the spine cover, it's B rating. It does have this really cool sticker set, which I don't know how collectible that is. I'm not going to be peeling any of these bad boys. But because you just make sure you compare if a store has multiple copies of a game, chances are they're going to be pricing those things differently, if only because the price of a game might end up going up as games get traded in. So if you can find one of the games that was traded in a long time ago but had still not been bought yet, you might be able to get a deal. And so that's what happened with Moon. So we still have some time. Yeah, let's do some N64 games. I think we still got a few minutes before my camera overheats. What we're going to pull up what's becoming one of the more expensive games for the N64, Resident Evil 2, because this was a late release for the N64, and it's part of a popular franchise. As always, that is going to mean it is becoming a very expensive game. I think mint copies of this tend to go for $90 now. Of course, this copy was beat up. I ended up buying this from a hard off for I think 30 or 40 bucks. And yes, it's not in that great of a condition. You might be able to see some of the scuffs over here. I don't think I've tried cleaning this game as much as I possibly could. I think the manual, yeah, no, the manual's in fair condition. Of course, no plastic baggies or anything, but that's fine. What else have we got? Yeah, so that's it for Resident Evil 2. I actually haven't played this particular version of the game yet. I really don't even know how well it's going to turn out. Just because, you know, trying to port a PlayStation game over, a cinematic PlayStation game, no less, over to the N64 must have been quite a challenge. Next up, we'll do Perfect Dark, not because it's very expensive, but just because I freaking love the Japanese release of Perfect Dark. You've got this red and this black, an excellent color scheme matching the red and the black of the memory expansion pack that you need to play the game. I can't tell. So the thing with Perfect Dark in Japan is I think there were 2 releases. This, I think, was the standard retail release. This is the standalone game that should have the manual and the game inside. I love, God, this is just the complete package. This actually, Perfect Dark used to be a really expensive N64 game. Like, it used to be, I think, like $50 plus. But for some reason, recently, it's actually gone down in price, which I guess I can appreciate just because, look at this. Like, it has the best cartridge artwork I've ever freaking seen. I love the composition here. I love the colors. Love this manual. I love the artwork. I'm trying to find a high-res version of this, and it's crazy because the Japanese version of the game, let me see if I can find a full picture of Joanna Dark. Yeah, let's see if the camera can zoom in or can focus, but they actually, for the Japanese version of Perfect Dark, they ended up changing Joanna Dark's face for whatever reason. I don't know why. Everyone else's face looks fine. It looks like you would see in the North American and European release. We even got the Robin Williams inspired Daniel Carrington over here. But for some reason, they changed Joanna Dark's face for the Japanese version, and I don't know why. Oh, hey, look, I didn't know I had these inserts. Oh yeah, so like I showed last time with the Famicom and Super Famicom inserts, here are some N64 inserts. Love Toad right there. Let's see. Yeah, it's like, here's your health warnings, like don't play it for so long. Take breaks. Jeez. Yeah, be very careful when you're using the AC adapter. Here's the, I think they still do this in Japan, even in the year 2019. I think Japanese companies will still do this. But even in 1999, whenever this came out, here's your Japanese companies, especially Nintendo, would put in a survey that you could fill out. And I don't even know if you would get anything from this, but you could answer a lot of questions like, let's see. Oh yeah, why did you think you wanted to buy Perfect Dark? Did you like the Perfect Dark commercial? What kind of genres do you like? Love the inserts on these games. Very glad I actually have those. Oh, so as I was saying with Perfect Dark, there was actually another release. There was a release, a big box Perfect Dark release that I actually think I will just buy just to have, but It came with a box that was the same size as this, but then it came with it came inside of a bigger box that included the memory expansion pack for the N64, so you could just buy the game, you would have the expansion pack, and you can already play it. Because if you buy the standalone version, you would have to end up buying that accessory. Next up is Bangai-O, which I think is definitely one of my favorite games. Not just import game for the N64, but definitely just one of my games for the N64, period. Bangai-O, I think, came out, it's another sort of late-ish release, yeah, see, 1999. It's a treasure game, and of course Treasure is known for its quality. It's a shooter where you're like you're in a battle suit, like a mobile suit, and you end up just wrecking outer space. It is absolutely fantastic. Love the characters, the character design is great, the action is great, the story is really funny, really cool. I think it got an English release, so you can play it on the Dreamcast, which is actually the problem with playing this game on the N64, is that it's really, really slow, and there's a lot of particles and projectiles going around on the screen, and when you do that, the game really slows down. Now, I think the legend behind Bangai-O for the N64 is this only got 10,000 copies released for the N64. So it has a really limited release, and because it's so good, it is, again, highly sought after. I think copies can go for $100 plus now. This was one of my, I don't want to say mistakes when I first started collecting, because I bought it for $70 from Mandarake, and it was mint. Yeah, when I first bought it was mint, but when I had to take it back and forth from America to Japan, I think I ended up dinging it a little bit, so I don't know if I'd say it's mint anymore. But man, this is a phenomenal game that I highly recommend if you are into import games. And actually, maybe I'll even show you the Dreamcast version. I think I have that laying around here somewhere. So let's put you away, and we will move on to the most expensive N64 game. The really only one of 5 most expensive N64 games of all time, Getter Love. Now, I bought this when I first came to Japan, at least maybe a year or two when I came to Japan, and I think it was like $35. It has since skyrocketed to about $200 for a mint copy. I think even the loose cartridge is worth like $140 at this point. I think I've seen it going for that in Tokyo. I don't even really know how to describe this game. It's a late Hudson game. Well, actually, when did this come out? 1998, so a later Hudson game for the N64. This is, I guess, best described as the combination between Mario Party and a dating sim, because you are competing with 3 other people. They can be real people that you bring over to your house, or they can be 3 computer-controlled opponents, and you're trying to hook up with one of these lovely anime ladies here. Yeah, it's just absolutely wild. I think you can see... Oh, I have reviewed the game, and you can also see Glenn Plant's review of the game. Move that aside, check out the inserts here. Classic. And then we've also got the Hudson survey I want you to fill out and send back. I wonder what would happen if you ended up sending this to Konami. Who owns the Hudson library? I think it's Konami, right? Love it if they ended up releasing this on the Virtual Console or something. Yeah, so look at that. It's actually not in bad condition. I'm really lucky that I found this game when I did. And that's, man, one of my biggest regrets is getting into the N64, because the N64 games still have not really gone up in value outside of a few select games. Getter Love being the biggest example. But this is crazy, like this, I love this manual. I've not really even looked at this manual all that much, but it is, Japanese manuals, I think there is a whole culture behind them that I do not think we really ever experienced in the United States and even in Europe. Like, I think a really good example would be No More Heroes. The Japanese No More Heroes manual is basically a comic book. Just like we saw with the Symphony of the Night manual for the PlayStation. I thought that was a like, I can't believe they had that insert in it. So, yeah, wow. Oh, I didn't know they had, wait, are these the real versions? Who are these people? I don't know. Anyway, that's Get Our Love. I'm going to end it here because we've gone through almost the whole box. Well, no, you know what? Yeah, let's move on. I think we've got some extra time, hopefully. Let's move it to the side. Next up, we'll go into the Dreamcast. I actually don't have that many more treasures that I'd like to show you. Here is the Dreamcast version of Bangai-O. This is the game that, if you really want to experience Bangai-O, this is the version that I recommend, simply because there's no slowdowns. Again, phenomenal music. And here's the spine cover that I was talking about. So with Japanese CD games, I'm pretty sure all Japanese CD games, when they were sealed, of course you'd have the outer packaging, and this would be lining the edge of the game. And so this can actually be worth a lot of money. This can make the difference between like a $500 game and a $700 game. Like I think Sapphire, this little piece of paper for Sapphire, for the PC Engine, is worth like $100 or something. Like, it's crazy how much this can increase the value of a game. So you want to be careful and make sure you protect it. I remember when I first started collecting CD games, I didn't quite know exactly what it was. I really hope I didn't throw any of those away. And then here is another incredible, phenomenal, coincidentally also an ESP game, slash treasure game, Ikaruga. Love this cover art. This is probably my favorite version of Ikaruga. I mean, although the GameCube version, I think, does give it a run for its money. Again, you've got the spine cover over here, and I just love this artwork. Ikaruga it's freaking hard, and that's something that I actually do not like about Ikaruga, is how freaking hard it gets. But I love the aesthetic of this game. I love everything about it. And Ikaruga is sort of expensive now. I think you can easily find it for 50 bucks, although you can also find it for a lot more. I actually just found new sealed copies of Ikaruga for, I want to say, like 100 bucks in Fukuoka, something like that. Next up, we just got a couple PlayStation 2 games. While PlayStation 2 games, there are some expensive games. I've not really gotten into PlayStation 2 games that much, although I, of course, had to buy Neo Contra. When did this come out? 2004? Wow, that late. All right, so we've got Neo Contra here. I picked this up in Surugaya. It's crazy to me that Surugaya will often includes the retail price of the game, so you know what it retailed for when it first came out. So this game came out, let's see, April 11th, 2003, and it cost 6,980 yen. So that means it cost about $70 at the time. And actually, oh yeah, this is another game. This video is not only the J Contra Treasures, it's also the J Contra Shame Pile, because I actually still haven't played Neo Contra. And then we also just have Shin Contra. I can't remember what they released this in English as. Or was this like, yeah, Shin Contra. When did this come out? 2002. Do I have? No, I guess I must have taken the labels off of this. But this is another game that I have not yet played. If only because Contra is, again, really freaking hard. So let's move Contra to the side. Oh, I didn't even show the inside of these games. Yeah, so the thing about Surugaya is that they really don't grade based on conditions, so it's kind of a crapshoot as to what you'll get on the inside. But it doesn't look so bad. Oh, and look at that. See, again, with the manuals, we got a little comic book inside. And this is in English. Holy crap. Look at that. I didn't even realize. I really got to look more into this game. Cool. And then what was on the inside of Neo Contra? Let's open this up. Oh, wow, that's some cool artwork. And this guy wearing a samurai suit? Why is he wearing a samurai suit? Whatever. Okay. All right, Neo Contra. Thank you. And then we're going to end with 2 Fire Emblem games. So let's start in order. We've got Fire Emblem... Shoot, I can't remember what the English version of this. I actually bought this from a Gaio, which is the sort of like, what do you even call it? It's like a combined GameStop and Blockbuster where you can rent videos, you can rent Blu-rays and DVDs, and you can buy used video games from Gaio. And here we've got Fire Emblem. This used to be more expensive. This is a really beat up copy. Gaio is also one of those places where they will just take trade-ins from whoever, so they don't really grade based on condition. I think a mint copy of this Fire Emblem goes for probably, what, like 60, 70 bucks now? I think I bought this for like 45. Let's see, and so Japanese GameCube games, they're in really small packages. You've got this outer cover here that you've got to be really careful that you don't end up bending, and then you've got the plastic inside. And I've heard of GameCube games suffering from disc rot faster than other games. This seems fine for now. Don't see any problems with that disc. And then you've got a couple inserts. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I forgot about this. I forgot about the map. So you've got the map here. Did they include this? Someone please let me know if they included this on the North American version. But here, oh wow, even going with the black controller, not going with the normal purple. So we've got the manual too. Do we get a comic inside this manual? No, but we got, I love the artwork on the Fire Emblem games. Was it the same artist? I know the Fire Emblem games tend to have varying artwork, but this actually looks quite similar to what they would end up doing with the Wii Fire Emblem. I think this is actually really expensive. This is really expensive in English, isn't it? Am I crazy for thinking that? I think it's like a what, $100 plus game, but the Japanese version is significantly cheaper. There we go. Put that away, and then we will finish off the J Contra Treasures with Fire Emblem for the Wii. This is actually not a very expensive game. It's easily $30, $40 here in Japan. And while I have not yet played it, one of these days I will, just because I freaking love Fire Emblem so much. Actually, as I'm filming this, I think Three Houses came out last week, if you're going to allow me to date this particular video. But it's not really, not a whole lot to it. I think Wii games did have a lot of inserts because you'd have Club Nintendo. You'd have different inserts telling you about how you should properly hold the Wii controller. Here we've got a very, I think it's an okay. Actually, no, yeah. If you can see, I love that background pattern that you really only see if you can shine it in the light. That's really cool. So there you go. That's it for the J Contra Treasures. I hope you enjoyed this sort of collection style video. I'd like to make more of them. I think we'll go into my other bins, and we'll go into not the more expensive, certainly not very expensive games, but games that I think can mean a lot to people and do mean a lot to me. So that's it for this. I've been your man in Japan, J Contra, saying thanks for watching, see you next time, and mahalo.